We headed to the reception hall, the excitement of the ceremony. But an unexpected problem happened. There was a seat for my husband, but not for me. I looked several times but couldn't find it. Then, Mary came over to me. "What's wrong?" "Oh, Mary, you came at just the right time. There's no seat for me somehow." Mary then said, half smiling, "Somehow? There's no way. There was never a seat for you in the first place." "Huh?" I couldn't believe my ears. "What do you mean?" My name is Sharon, a 34-year-old housewife. I've been married to Peter for 7 years. We've never had children, but last year I gave birth, finally. She's a very cute girl. Giving birth was hard, but my first daughter is just so precious. Peter also loves our daughter and comes home at a fixed time every day. Peter is cooperative with parenting, and it's a great help. "Sis, give this to my niece." "Oh, Noel, are you here again?" "But my niece, it's just too cute." Noel, my younger brother, who often visits our home, says, "There's a 5-year age gap between Noel and me. We have no other relatives since our parents are no longer with us. Our parents divorced when we were young. Our father had a bad drinking habit, and he would often become violent towards our mother. Our mother decided to divorce as she felt staying together would harm the kids. She took us in, but raising 2 children alone was hard, and she had 2 jobs to support us. Thanks to her, Noel and I are now able to make a living as adults. But our mother must have worked too much. She passed away from cancer about 5 years ago. Yet, I believe she was at ease knowing that both of her children were working as employees. I'm truly glad I was able to show myself to my mother in my wedding dress. We'd always lived while supporting each other. Our bonds as a family were very strong. My brother and I vowed to live our lives as happily as possible for our mother. Living day by day in this manner, I'm very happy now." "Oh, what a lovely apron, right? I do have good taste, don't I? Don't be so cheeky. Don't you have anything else to do on the weekend? Go on a date or something?" I teased my brother jokingly, but an unexpected answer came back. "Actually, the reason I came today is that I wanted to tell you something." "Huh? Report?" "Yeah, I have someone I'm considering marrying." "What?" I was surprised. I've never expected this from my brother. "It was totally unexpected. Can I come over next Saturday to introduce her to you and Peter?" "Of course you can. I'll check Peter's schedule too." "Yeah, thanks." After my brother left, I felt quite emotional. I always took care of my brother at home while our mother was working. So the feeling was closer to being a guardian rather than a sister. It's such a big event for me that my precious brother would come to tell me about his wedding. I can't wait for Saturday. And since my husband has the day off, we'll meet them together. On that day, I was restless, wondering when they would arrive. "Sharon, you've been so fidgety since a while ago. But Noel is bringing his fiancé over, right? It makes me nervous." "Don't worry, Sharon. I bet Noel isn't expecting his sister to be nervous." "Well, maybe, but..." As we were having that conversation, the doorbell rang. My brother and his fiancé arrived about 5 minutes later than planned. I could feel my heartbeat speed up. When I opened the door, there was a beautiful woman standing next to my brother. "Hey, sis. Welcome." "Why are you so nervous, sis?" "Who, me? I'm not nervous." As I was having this conversation with my brother, I locked eyes with the woman he had brought along. She politely introduced herself. "Nice to meet you. I'm Mary. I'm Sharon, Noel's sister." After a brief greeting, I led the 2 of them into the living room. My husband, who had been waiting in the living room, greeted the 2. "I'll make some tea." "Oh, we brought some sweets. Let's all have some." "Oh, thank you." I'll prepare the tea with them. Once I had finished preparing it for everyone, we sat down at the dining table and started talking. Mary was very beautiful and decent. Just like me, she seemed a bit nervous, looking around restlessly. "So, where did you 2 meet?" "Through work. Mary was working as a receptionist at a client's office that I was working with." My brother and Mary said this, looking slightly blushed. My husband said, "Not only managing negotiations, but also bringing a fiancé? Good work." Hey, Peter. That's one way to put it. My brother quickly interjected. I burst out laughing, and Mary was also laughing. Thanks to my husband, the slightly tense atmosphere immediately became more relaxed. By the way, Mary, how old are you? I turned 24 this year. Oh, I see. So she's 5 years younger than Noel, which means she's a full decade younger than me. So are you planning on continuing work after getting married? No. I'm going to quit. Oh, really? Many women these days prefer to continue working after marriage. That's unusual. I don't need to work that much. Noel works at a major company and my family is quite wealthy. Gradually, her true personality was showing, which was different from my first impression. Also, you're not working currently, are you? No, I quit after giving birth to my daughter, but I was in the company for about 15 years. What? 15 years? How old are you now? I'm 34. Wait, so are you, by any chance, a high school graduate? Suddenly, Mary's expression hardened. Well, yes I am. Oh, a high school graduate. She definitely sounded condescending. But then Noel quickly came to my defense. Sharon started working right after high school for me. We talked about it, right? We were poor, so Sharon gave up everything for me. Don't look down on her. I wasn't looking down on her, I was just surprised, because there's no one like that around me. Noel's defense had created an awkward atmosphere. I quickly tried to smooth things over by saying, "It must be unusual for you, Mary." Mary also added, "Yes, exactly. I didn't mean it in a bad way, I was just surprised." Noel seemed to accept this and replied, "Oh, okay, as long as that's the case." To change the subject, I asked, "Mary, what does your father do?" My dad is the editor-in-chief of a publishing company called XX. Mary proudly stated this. Wait, that publishing company? I noticed something, but I didn't want to bring it up and cause another weird reaction from Mary, so I decided not to mention it for now. Mary seems to take pride in the fact that her father earns a good income, and she brags about it. When talking about her father or her home, she looks really happy, even smug. I even thought that her nose had grown a few inches longer than when she first arrived at our house. Anyway, that's how the meeting to announce my brother's engagement ended. After seeing off Noel and Mary, I immediately slumped onto the sofa. Phew, I'm exhausted. You did well. I'll make some coffee. My husband said this as he comforted our daughter in his arms. Thank you. But I wonder if Noel's going to be okay. He said this as he moved our daughter to the crib. Huh? Because Mary seems difficult and she was mocking you. I hope they're okay. Well, Noel did quickly point that out, so maybe that part will be okay. Although I said that, I was also a little worried. Noel and Mary had grown up in very different environments, so their values must be quite different. No matter how successful Noel is, the different background could cause misunderstandings. But it's Noel's life, so he's the one who needs to make all the decisions. As his sister, all I can do is watch over him. After several months had passed, Noel and Mary came to visit our house. What brings you here all of a sudden? We wanted to give this to you today. What? What Noel handed over was an invitation to their wedding. Wow! You're finally holding the ceremony. We really want you to come. Of course, I'll be there. It's my dear brother's big day after all. As I was getting excited, Mary interjected. But you don't have any relatives to rely on, and you can't bring your baby to the wedding, can you? She could be worried, but from Mary's tone clearly implying, are you really coming? Oh, don't worry about it. We'll leave her with my mother-in-law. When I said that, Mary seemed disappointed and murmured, Is that so? What's up, Mary? You seem down. Noel noticed. Mary suddenly changed her impression. Do I? I'm just tired. With a forced laugh. Yeah, it's been a rush trying to get everything done because our schedules didn't match. To ease their burden, I suggested, why don't you head home and rest? Thanks for the invitation. To be honest, I didn't want to spend more time with Mary, who clearly disliked me. But she's the woman Noel chose. So I refrained from voicing my objections about their marriage. When the day of the wedding arrived, my husband and I went to the venue. Noel looked so handsome walking with Mary. As I've always cared for him like a mother, I was moved to tears. "Mom, look at how grown Noel is," I murmured in my heart, knowing our mom in heaven must be watching. She must be watching the ceremony, emotionally charged from heaven. We headed to the reception with the excitement of the ceremony. But there, we encountered an unexpected problem. While there was a seat for my husband, there wasn't one for me. I searched several times, but I couldn't find it. So I had to tell the venue staff. However, even after they checked, they confirmed that there was no seat for me. Isn't it strange that the groom's sister's husband has a seat, but the groom's sister doesn't? My husband asked the staff. They showed us the seating chart that Mary and Noel had given them. Just then, Mary came over. "What's going on?" "Oh, Mary, good timing. There seems to be a mistake and I don't have a seat." Mary laughed and said, "A mistake? There's no way. We didn't prepare a seat for you from the start." What? I couldn't believe what I heard. "What do you mean?" When I asked this, Mary's expression turned evil. "When Noel is with you, he doesn't care about me, and he's spending all his money on his niece." "Can't be. Noel buys things for our daughter, but they aren't expensive, and occasionally. That's not the point. Anyway, my happiness is diminished by you. Please leave." With that, Mary glared at me disdainfully. What a terrible woman she is. Is it possible for someone to act this horribly based on misunderstandings? I hate the fact that my dear brother is marrying a woman like this. Suddenly, a man rushed towards us, exclaiming, Hey, Mary, what are you doing?" "Huh? Dad, why are you so panicked?" It was Mary's father. He also had connections with me. "You didn't say something rude to this lady, did you?" "Huh? This lady? She's the annoying old hag interfering with my happy marriage." What? Apologize, right now." What's with you, Dad?" I had enough of their arguing, so I turned to Mary's father and bluntly stated my intentions. "Editor-in-Chief, I want to conclude my column with this week's issue. I deeply apologize. She was disrespectful. We'll do anything, please. Don't quit." Mary's father apologized profusely. Seeing this, Mary was left in shock. I was into beauty after successfully losing weight, and I've been writing about it on social media. Recently, I shared about post-maternity self-care that you can do at home. This made me popular. I make a decent income. I've been writing an article on a magazine which he works for as a chief editor. Thankfully, the magazine's sales had increased, thanks to me. And I had been continuously writing. I had no idea that Sharon's younger brother was my daughter's fiancé. "Oh, you didn't come to the family gathering, did you? You said there was no need for just a sister." I deeply apologize. If I had known it was you, Sharon." You don't realize that your words only emphasize your bad character, do you? Silenced by my words, Mary's father could only stand there, dumbstruck. Anyway, I'd like to formally discuss my column with your company later. Goodbye. Having said that, I left the venue. My husband also left with me, saying that if I wasn't attending, he wouldn't either. Suddenly, my brother Noel came rushing over. Wait! Why are you guys trying to leave?" I explained everything to him. "What? That can't be. When I was at home, I saw a seating chart with Mary, and your name's on it." "I see. So it seems like Mary had shown a fake seating chart to Noel." Realizing this, Noel, his face flushed, stormed into the reception hall. He called off the engagement, stating, "I can't marry a person who treats my sister so poorly." And Noel really wasn't scattering money for his niece. It was Mary who spent a lot. She would buy anything, therefore it seemed she was financially strained. On top of that, the wedding was quite extravagant, so handling the finances was a struggle. Being blamed for spending money on his niece wasn't a pleasant situation at all. After all, wasn't all of this Mary's fault? Noel explained to the attendees that it would be just a regular dinner, and then he left. Later, there were issues regarding the wedding costs, but I cooperated with Noel to resolve them. As Noel had proposed the breakup, he ended up in a disadvantageous situation. But originally, it was Mary's fault. Unconvinced, I decided to use my power a little. I told Mary's father that if he agreed to pay all costs, I would continue the contract. Mary's father agreed without hesitation, saying, "Understood." Mary seemed unconvinced. But her father snapped, "It's all because of you," and forcibly made her accept it. This way, Noel was able to break up with Mary without any loss or a negative mark against him. Meanwhile, I continued the contract as promised. However, I did report this incident to the publisher. After that, Mary's father was transferred to a different department and no longer as editor-in-chief. Mary was disowned by her father, saying, "It's all your fault," and was forced out of the house. She had no access to money, but still she couldn't shake off her previous spending habits. She's likely to ruin herself, but it's none of my business, and she brought this on herself. Even Noel said, "Next time, I'll find someone who values you as my sister." I told him, "Just find someone who doesn't treat people poorly." Noel laughed. True. Mary was just abnormal while he was comforting his niece. I'm glad that the problem was resolved safely. I hope Noel finds a good person next time. Wishing for Noel's happiness, I'll continue to work hard for my husband and daughter at home.
New wife, new life. You're divorced and out of here,
said my husband and mother-in-law, with triumphant looks on their faces. What? I'm already divorced, and that woman is, I replied.
You're lying, right? That's ridiculous.
My husband said. My name is Madison, and I'm a 32-year-old office worker. I've been married to my husband, Everett, for 5 years. We met at a mixer, which was set up by a friend who was worried about my lack of dating experience. I decided to take the plunge and attend the mixer, where I met Everett. He was refreshing, had a lovely smile, and was quite handsome. He was being pursued by many women, and I thought he was out of my league. However, he approached me and we hit it off. We bonded over our shared love of music and talked about our favorite artists. Before we knew it, we were having a great time talking, and we decided to skip the after party and go out for drinks together. We exchanged contact information and started messaging each other. We went out on dates and started dating naturally. We continued to date smoothly, and about a year and a half later, he proposed to me. We immediately introduced each other to our parents, had a family meeting, and got married. It was a whirlwind from the time we decided to get married, but when we started living together, I realized that we were really married. Our newlywed life was really fun and we were always happy. My husband couldn't cook, so I worked hard to make him homemade meals. Every time I did, he said it was delicious and I was happy. I made lunch every day and came up with new dinner menus. I wasn't a housewife, but I worked hard. But at first, I didn't feel like it was hard work because I was doing it for my husband. I looked at recipe books every day and increased the variety of dishes I could make. And so, time flew by as we spent our days together. I was happy for about 2 years after getting married without any particular worries, but various problems began to occur little by little around the 3rd year. The first problem that occurred was a pressure problem from my mother-in-law when my husband and I visited my husband's parents' house.
Oh, Madison. You look so ordinary. When will I be able to see my grandchild's face?
Well.
It's been 2 years since you got married, right? Then you should have a child. That's what normal people do, don't they?
Even if it's said to be normal, having a child is a gift from God. It's not something that can be done just by one's own will. Even so, it's difficult to be told such an unreasonable demand. Well, I'll do my best to have a child.
How are you going to do your best? Specifically, how are you going to do your best? When are you going to have a child? How long do I have to wait?
Well, when a baby can be born is not something I can decide.
So you don't want to have a baby?
No, I want to have a baby.
Then try harder. Have a baby before I die.
Okay. The pressure from my mother-in-law was tremendous. When we got married, my father-in-law was still alive, so my mother-in-law was quiet. But since my father-in-law passed away last year, she has become more and more high-handed. At first, I thought I had done something to make her angry, but I had no idea what it was. Since then, she has been treating me badly, so I realized that it was bullying. Perhaps my father-in-law had been a deterrent until now. In fact, my father-in-law was very kind to me and treated me well. So when my father-in-law died about 6 months after we got married, I was very sad. I wanted to support my mother-in-law as much as possible. But if she continues to treat me so badly, I will start to dislike her a little. I wish she would at least treat me normally like she used to. Every time I met my mother-in-law, she bullied me. She was so persistent that I once consulted my husband. Hey, I think your mother's attitude towards me is a little harsh.
Huh? Is that so?
Oh. Haven't you seen our conversation? Your mother has been scolding and bullying me.
Huh? I don't see it that way. Isn't it Madison's delusion?
What kind of thing is that? I was sad that my husband didn't understand me. I wanted him to be on my side. I found it difficult to talk to my husband about my mother-in-law after that. And my husband was always trying to go to his parents' house.
Let's go to my mother's to give her the souvenir from the president.
Oh, should I come too?
Of course. What are you complaining about?
No, it's not that I don't want to go, but wouldn't it be okay if it was just you?
My mother wants Madison to come too. It's proof that she likes you. So stop making comments like last time. Besides, my mother wouldn't have a bad attitude.
My husband took me to his parents' house by force. My mother-in-law probably wanted me to come because she wanted to bully me. And as expected, when she saw me, she was happy and made me do things for her. I wonder which part of my conversation with my mother-in-law my husband saw that made him think I was liked. I was exhausted from doing housework all the time. Even though it was supposed to be a day off, I couldn't rest well on weekends because my husband took me to his parents' house all the time. I often started the next week without being able to recover from work fatigue. And so, I became more and more tired, making it difficult to do housework. My husband behaved as he pleased, and his parents' house was a relaxing place for him, so he didn't seem tired at all. Why do I have to go through this? I felt like I was being treated unfairly. And then, my husband started coming home later and later. Although I sometimes came home late due to overtime, my husband was even later. And when he came home, he always smelled of alcohol, which meant he had gone drinking, not just worked overtime. I had prepared dinner and was waiting for him, but he didn't come home for a long time without any contact and came home after drinking. Every time he did that, I felt both lonely and angry. I wish he would at least contact me. Even if he was tired from work, I was preparing dinner for him because I was thinking of him. If I were alone, I would have skipped cooking and eaten instant food. I thought that way in my mind, and the stress kept building up. And one day, my feelings exploded towards my husband. Hey, can you at least let me know when the drinking party is decided? Just tell me that you don't need dinner today. That's all I'm asking for. That way, I don't have to make extra dinner. It will reduce my burden. When I said that, my husband frowned.
does that mean you want to take it easy?
No, that's not it. I'm saying that your dinner will go to waste. If I didn't prepare it from the beginning, the food would last longer, and the food expenses would be even cheaper.
It's not that big of a deal. You can put it in my lunchbox for the next day. You're a wife, so you should come up with ideas like that.
Huh? My husband's words became harsher and harsher, and his attitude towards me became colder and colder. It was just like my mother-in-law. And maybe my husband lost interest in me, because he only talked to me when necessary. He never let me know if he needed dinner or not. I decided to stop cooking for my husband and only cook when I got home. Sometimes, I was scolded for not having dinner ready when he came home unexpectedly early, but it was better than wasting food. I tried to come up with ideas like that. Although my conversations with my husband were getting fewer and fewer, I was still trying to improve our married life. My husband didn't seem to understand that and always complained to me. Gradually, I began to distrust my husband and suspected that he was having an affair. He was coming home late, and he always looked at his smartphone with a grin. When I approached him, he immediately put on a serious face and hid his smartphone. I felt like he was having a conversation that he didn't want me to know about. My husband was so selfish in every way. He lived as he pleased, so his return time was irregular, and he stopped putting money into the house. Even if I urged him, he said he had various social obligations for his career and didn't have any spare time. He probably just wanted to spend more time with his mistress. I became more and more suspicious of my husband. But somewhere in my heart, I wanted to believe in him. I didn't hire a private investigator or anything like that to investigate whether my husband was having an affair. However, in the midst of all this, my husband made remarks that suggested he had a mistress.
Oh, this accessory is cute. I bet she would like it too.
Huh? Who are you talking about? My husband seemed to be looking at something on his smartphone and said that naturally. When I asked him a question, he said,
"Oh, don't worry about it."
He didn't even try to cover it up and started saying bad things about me.
Oh man, I should have been more careful before getting married.
What do you mean?
I mean it literally. I regret marrying you.
It was too much. How could he say such a thing so brazenly? I wanted to believe in my husband somewhere in my heart, so I was shocked to hear him say that. And to make matters worse, my husband handed me a completed divorce form with a grin.
I'm okay with divorcing you anytime. Understand that I'm forcing myself to continue our married life together.
My husband laughed condescendingly and said that. How much more could he look down on me? Did he think he could say anything to me and get away with it? I was so frustrated and angry. If I didn't say anything, my husband would think I had submitted to him and laugh at me.
You should reflect on yourself.
That's what you should do. If you underestimate me, you'll regret it. After that, I took various actions. I hired a private investigator and looked for a new place to live. It was quite difficult to do both work and housework, but I managed to make progress. I also learned some interesting things during that time. I think I can end my relationship with my husband now. In the meantime, one day, my husband suddenly told me to go to his parents' house. I honestly didn't want to see my mother-in-law's face anymore, but my husband was persistent, so I went. And he said there was something important to talk about. What do you want to talk about?
Don't worry, it's a surprise.
My husband grinned and said that. What could it be? Finally, when we arrived at his parents' house, my mother-in-law greeted me with a grin. I felt disgusted as I entered their house. Then I saw a young woman in the living room.
Are you surprised? Her name is Samantha and she's my new wife.
New wife?
Yeah, that's right. She's pregnant with my child.
Pregnant.
So that means she's better than you. She's 10 years younger than you. She's pregnant, and she's beautiful. There's nothing to say.
Is that what you want to talk about?
That's right. Well, sorry. I'm going to remarry my new wife. You're divorced and out of here.
The husband and mother-in-law are looking triumphant as they say this. Do they think I'm shocked? I was trying hard to hold back my laughter. But I couldn't help but laugh.
What are you laughing at?
Have you finally gone crazy?
No, that's not it. You guys are so stupid that I couldn't help but laugh.
What? We're stupid?
What do you mean?
I mean exactly what I said. You're looking triumphant, but you haven't won anything.
What? I get it. You're just being a sore loser?
I see. That's what it is. You're in shock because you're getting divorced?
The husband and mother-in-law laugh at this. The mistress is also laughing triumphantly. But I calmly retorted. Huh? I'm already divorced, and that woman is.
Huh.
When I told them the truth, the two of them were speechless.
What? That's a lie. That's ridiculous. It's impossible for Samantha to have another man. Don't make things up.
The husband's face turned red as he said this. You don't have to believe me. But maybe you should get a DNA test. You might just be being used for your convenience. I was so strong that my husband was trembling. And the mistress's smile disappeared and her face twisted. After that, I showed them a certain photo. It was the result of a private detective's investigation. You said you were having an affair earlier, so you might not need this photo. But you might need it. It was a photo of the mistress entering a hotel with a man other than my husband. And there were several people, all with different men. When the husband and mother-in-law saw the photos, they turned red and scolded the mistress.
Hey! What the hell is going on?
Why are you with men other than Everett?
And all of them are involved with you, right?
Wait! But the child in my belly is Everett's.
How can we believe that? We're going to do a DNA test.
No!
The mistress was pale. Well then, I'm going home. You'll pay me compensation properly. And we'll communicate through lawyers.
Wait, Madison! I'm the victim here. Don't say such scary things like compensation.
That's right.
I'm the only victim here. The fact that you had an affair won't disappear no matter who the father of the child in this woman's belly is. And as I said earlier, we're already divorced, so we're strangers. Thanks for giving me the completed divorce form. Well then, goodbye. My husband and mother-in-law slumped on the spot. The mistress didn't expect it to turn into such a mess and was frozen with a pale face. I left my in-laws' house thinking that they got what they deserved. Afterwards, I claimed compensation from my ex-husband and his mistress through a lawyer. I sent a registered letter to their workplace, So the fact of their affair became known to my ex-husband's colleagues, and it became a big problem. My ex-husband had always acted like a loving husband and was respected by his colleagues. Therefore, the fact of his affair damaged him more than I had imagined. He was scorned by those around him, and his boss stopped giving him work altogether. He was relegated, his salary decreased, and he worked hard every day to pay the compensation. Moreover, it turned out that the child of his mistress was not his, and they broke up. My ex-mother-in-law was so shocked that she fell ill. Well, they brought it on themselves, so there's no sympathy for them. On the other hand, I moved to an apartment for singles and am enjoying a comfortable single life. The compensation is paid properly every month, and I'm doing well at work, so my salary is increasing. I'm going to focus on work for a while and increase my assets. Then, I plan to semi-retire in the future and live a leisurely life.
How was this story? Please subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.